Hello, everyone. This is Frank with Little L. I hope you can see me because I'm using my Mac. Alright, enough of that. Anyway, I'm testing out this Yachty Blue microphone thing. The picture is always going to have terrible quality because I'm on my Mac and I'm currently listing a client. So you're going to hear some clicking, you're going to hear some typing, you're going to hear a lot of that good stuff. But I wanted to get into the swing of things of just trying to create kind of a weekly thing that what went on in the business during that week kind of thing. So this is my introduction. I hope you like my sexy face because you're going to be seeing it for at least 5 to 10 minutes or however long I cut this video up. Anyway, so I'm going to start back. It's going to be 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. So, for those of you who don't know, Little Al FBA is a prep center. Amazon sellers send us items. We then prep those items and send them out. This includes listing them if they want for an extra fee, of course. But essentially, that is what we do. We're basically shipping your things to fulfillment or FBA, fulfillment by Amazon, to make sure they get there on time, and to make sure you don't have to deal with the hassle of actually sending books and boxes. And I think we got a couple VCRs. Last week we got a couple VCRs that week. That was fun to bubble wrap. But I digress. So one big thing that happened 2 weeks ago was we were doing a pallet for one of our bigger clients. So a pallet, we try to recommend at least maybe 150 to 200 books minimum for a pallet. Of course, pallets are mostly based on weight because the more weight, the more savings to one location and all that. But that's what the client want. We had about 800 books in that pallet shipment, and late in the day, 2 weeks ago, I think on a Wednesday, I was looking over. I was billing people. Billing's like my favorite part of this entire business, just because it's always nice to get that notification of, hey, someone paid you. You get to be in business for another week. And that makes me feel good on the inside. But I was doing that, and I get a message from one of the clients, the big client, saying, something was up, something doesn't look right. And I stop what I'm doing, and I take a look at what he was talking about, and I started finding discrepancies between the spreadsheet and between Inventory Lab, because that is what he generally uses for us to list and batch these things. And I asked my business partner Andrew, who is currently finishing up the pallet. I said, "Hey, come take a look at this. Something's weird, and I don't know what's going on." And yeah, he was looking at that too, and he's like, "Yeah, something doesn't add up here." So we go through it, and there's quite a few mistakes. Now, of course, it's a learning curve for us because we're now letting other people involved in this process. It's not just me and Andrew anymore. Me and Andrew and a couple more friends who are on a regular basis now that we're actually paying them to do this work. Mostly receiving and listing. But we then came to the conclusion that there were so many mistakes in that pallet that we had to receive everything again and list everything again so we could redo the pallet again. This was not a decision that we made lightly. Our biggest concern was sending out a faulty pallet, which one, I never want to do because I do not like sending out faulty things. It's not me. I don't like to get messages from the client saying, "Hey, you're not doing too hot," and that makes me sad, and that does not brighten my day one bit. And especially for 800 books, at that point you just had to. There was so many flaws in that batch that just to be sure we had to redo it. And that honestly set us back a long time. Because now I had to focus, Andrew had to focus, the two other people had to focus on actually re-receiving this and listing it again, which was an arduous process. I tell you that. What book am I on? Okay, yeah, that's the book. So it takes about 3 days to fully rebatch everything and get that out. While that is happening, another 700 books come from this client, so we have to do another pallet for him. So now we have to split the team into two. And of course, he's not our only client. We now have about, I think we're up to about 26 to 28 active clients currently, a small, medium, and a couple large ones. And those guys, we actually stopped receiving those people for a couple days just to make sure to get these pallets out, which that caused a headache going into not this. This happened 2 weeks ago, mind you, but now last week. Now we have a bunch of books that are now not received, and I think I posted this. I think I posted a video or at least a picture on it on our Instagram, Little LFBA. It was covering the lobby. You honestly couldn't move in our lobby at that point. And we also had trickle in to the storage rooms and the room we're currently working in, which is where most of the work is done. So after we finished the pallets, after we confirmed both pallets were good to ship out, we shipped them out Monday. And then we started going through all the other clients, making sure that everything was good for them. We're finally out of the hole receiving wise. We're still getting caught up shipment wise. I know I have at least about 5 or 6 more clients to get caught up on, and that's what I'm focusing on today. I'm actually listing one of the bigger clients here just to make sure I can send his things out. That way they'll be available for pickup from FedEx is usually the lowest price for tomorrow. But I gotta tell you, that was a pretty stressful moment. Hopefully we never have to do that again. We did change up a couple policies to make sure that doesn't happen again. And moving forward, I think we run the risk, or we have lowered the risk of having that happen again. Now, last week. Now let's talk about last week, because I'm still trying to get you all caught up. I know this is going to be a little bit longer since we're starting it, but a lot has happened these last 2 weeks, and I'm going to be open and honest with you guys. Since this is a business, and maybe you can learn from these mistakes as you go on, or maybe it'll give you some insight into what we're doing. And for all the clients watching, hi. Yes, this is real hair. But anyway, last week we started getting a couple messages from different clients saying one of the biggest mistakes ever, or what you can do in FBA. We had 2 clients that said their shipments were over 50 pounds. Now these two clients, which one, in any case, that is unacceptable. If you send, let me tell you, if you guys don't know, if you've never sent it, let me tell you what happens. Amazon sees that you have sent a box over 50 pounds. They say, hey, we're going to suspend your account. Or in some cases temporarily suspend it. And if you don't shape up and don't send those in, then you'll get auto-suspended for good, which is not good. Actually, that's just downright terrible. So when we got those two messages, we were like, whoa, what is going on with our process? And we got to find a way to fix that. So we double checked our scan. First things first, we double checked the scales, because we have Dymo scales up to 100 pounds, just to make sure that we're good. And we did allow other people to do shipments, other new people besides me and Andrew, so they didn't have as much of experience. But of course, I'm not putting blame on them. I'm just letting you guys know what is up. Of course, I have to take full responsibility because I am the owner, and it was my decision to put those guys on those tasks. So ultimately, the blame is on me because I'm the one calling the shots. Anyway, so we double checked the scales. 2 scales were fine. A third scale, ironically, a third scale was acting up. I don't believe that was the cause. I believe it was regular negligence instead of an actual scale. But regardless, we did send that out for repair because we can't have a faulty scale, not in this business. So we implemented a stricter weight scale. Now we stop at 45 pounds for anything. If a box is at 45 pounds, great, let's stop. We now have 5 pounds extra for Amazon to play with. That's step number 1 to help in the cause. Another issue we faced was box content. And this one was a little trickier to solve. So sometimes we get messages and we get errors that a box or a book was in the wrong box. And this sometimes happens. For majority of our clients, we actually don't have a logistics system in place. And what I mean by that is we have to go on to Seller Central, list their products on Seller Central, and then print out labels in 30 tabs. And then find the books, stick the label on, put them in the box, and then use Amazon's web form, which is pretty basic. For someone new doing it or who hasn't experience doing it, it's there's room for a lot of different errors. So that's probably what caused that issue. Luckily, and this is something sneaky. Luckily, well, I wouldn't say it was sneaky, more or less, but we found a different method of doing that. So now once we scan a book, it prints out a label. I don't have to go through that 30 tabs unless we're like a select few clients still. And then we actually put it in the box. Actually, scratch that. I'm sorry. I'm busy doing something. Now we don't put them in the box. We put the books on the scale first. We measure it to 43 to 45 pounds. Once the book's measured to that weight, we then get the box. We then count how many books are in that box per the box content, and then we physically count the books on the scale. If those two numbers match up, then it's a good box. You can now put them into the box. We then count again while we're putting it into the box. So now we are counting twice. So we count, well, actually now it's 3 times. We count what's on the web form. We count the physical number of books. If they match, that's good. And then we do a final count going into the box. After that, we weigh it with the box. And the box usually adds about 1.2 pounds. So if it comes out to 45, 46 pounds, it's not that big of a deal. So we weigh that. So now we're weighing it twice. We're counting 3 times to make sure that doesn't happen again. Although it's a smaller offense than an overweight box, it still adds up. So that's what we're currently doing to solve that. Ideally, we would have software for some of these things. And honestly, we're looking into the possibilities of maybe getting some software. Of course, the best possibility would be to create our own software and use it in-house and then eventually sell it. But it's all time sensitive. I don't know if I have the time to actually go in, relearn Java, and start from there. So that's the problem I'm running into. So that's basically in a nutshell of what happened. We really had to look at the different processes available to us in the last 2 weeks. And of course, we made adjustments. The next big move that will help is now we're actually starting the process to move to OneDrive instead of Google Sheets. So right now, for those of you who don't know or those are not a client, we have spreadsheets that are on Google Drive that allow us to communicate with the client. So let's say Mr. Poe, he sends us 25 calculus books, 4th edition. He puts that on the spreadsheet. Once we get them, we count them, we grade them, we make sure everything's there, and then we say it was received on this day, and then it was shipped on this day when it was actually shipped. This also allows us to say, oh, hey, by the way, one of these calculus books was a teacher's edition. You're going to want to give us a shipping label so we can return that, because no one wants to screw with teacher's editions. It's bad for business. But now we're looking into going into OneDrive. One, because it's an Excel-based thing. I know Excel. The other co-owner, Andrew, knows Excel, my business partner. And this is actually going to allow us to automate the process a little bit more by using macros and Visual Basics for Excel. This would allow less customization for the clients, but it would also allow us to keep track of all the books more effectively, list more effectively, and actually give them more information at a faster pace. So that's what we're looking at to do. The goal is to have everyone transferred to this by the end of February. Of course, you all know that sometimes plans don't work out that way. It really depends on if the test spreadsheets work well. And right now we're testing a few spreadsheets. We have a couple clients that are slated to move over so they can be guinea pigs for this process. That way we can customize it to their needs as well as our needs. But that's going to be a big change. That's going to help out a lot when it comes to automating this process. And of course, there's always so much to learn. But right now we're doing the best we can. On a lighter note, I'm at 18:36 right now. I can go for another 2 minutes. On a lighter note, we are actually looking for a bigger space for our office. Right now we're a little over 1,000 square feet. We're looking at a place that has 4,000 square feet, over 4,000 square feet. This would allow us to move into different sectors like wholesale, and one of the big projects we have been working on is merchant fulfillment. So instead of shipping your books to Amazon, we would hold them and then we would send them out when you guys get that offer. We don't know how that's looking right now when it comes to prices. We're still researching a lot because we have to have that infrastructure in place before we actually roll it out, because if you don't have the infrastructure in place on something like that, you're bound to lose some books, or even worse, they just don't go out on time, which that's a big no-no, because now merchant fulfillment, we have to beat Amazon's times to get those out. That way we're a better option than Amazon. Of course, we're a small company. it's a pipe dream to think we're actually going to compete with Amazon at this point. So that's just me talking big. I like to talk big. I like to dream big. But sometimes you just got to start small and work your way up like we're doing. But, all right, my time's up. I'll see you all next week. I'm sure things are bound to happen, like they always do. Look out for more videos from us. I'm going to try to do content more on a regular basis. And I will see you guys next time. This is Frank with Little Al signing off. Shotgun hands.